In the early 2000s, the video game industry was locked in an escalating war over processing power. Success was measured in polygon counts and gigahertz. Sony and Microsoft were aggressively targeting young male gamers. To win them over, they turned handhelds like the Sony PSP into high-end multimedia machines, capable of rendering complex 3D graphics and playing movies. Meanwhile, Nintendo was bleeding momentum. Their previous console, the GameCube, had stumbled in the market, leaving the company in a precarious, highly vulnerable position. Former Nintendo president Hiroshi Yamauchi understood the gravity of the situation. He issued a stark ultimatum regarding their next hardware release. If the DS succeeds, we will rise to heaven, but if it fails, we will sink to hell. That left Nintendo's R&D teams staring down a ticking clock. They needed to engineer an immediate, massive hit, or watch the company fade into irrelevance. Then came the 2004 reveal of their new handheld, the Nintendo DS. Instead of the graphical powerhouse everyone expected, Nintendo unveiled a bizarre, underpowered device with two screens. To industry analysts, this looked like corporate suicide. Sony brought a processor-heavy weapon to the fight, and Nintendo showed up with a low-tech toy. But the company's new president, Satoru Iwata, wasn't trying to fight Sony. He had a completely different, highly contrarian vision for Nintendo's future. Iwata built his strategy around a single guiding doctrine: gaming population expansion. Take a look at this demographic scatterplot. Over here is a small, highly contested cluster, the hardcore gamers that Sony and Microsoft fought over. Surrounding them is a massive, untapped grid representing everyone else, people who don't play video games at all. To capture those new users, Nintendo made a calculated decision to stop competing on graphical fidelity entirely, ignoring the fierce battle over the hardcore cluster and turning their attention to the rest of the world. The low specs of the DS were not a failure of engineering. By stepping out of the hardware arms race, Nintendo secured an uncontested market where their rivals' processing power simply didn't matter. Reaching that new audience required a complete rethink of physical hardware. Nintendo had to remove the intimidation factor of traditional gaming. Games demanded complex button combinations and dual joystick manipulation. Handing a non-gamer a standard controller was like asking them to fly a helicopter. It acted as an immediate physical barrier to entry. The DS bypassed this by placing a resistive touchscreen on the lower half of the device. Instead of memorizing a dozen buttons, players used a stylus, relying on the universally understood intuitive act of holding a pen. They also embedded a microphone directly into the console, allowing users to interact with software simply by speaking or blowing into the device, further reducing the need to press anything at all. Even the physical clamshell design became an input method. Closing the lid would automatically pause the system to save battery life, and developers even used the folding motion to let players solve specific puzzles. Instead of forcing users to build specialized muscle memory, the hardware met them where they were. It turned interactive media into a natural physical extension of the user. With this accessible hardware in place, Nintendo's developers were liberated to invent entirely new genres, experiences with simple, intuitive rules that didn't look or play like traditional video games. Titles like Mario Kart DS integrated these features smoothly, offering wireless multiplayer and touch-driven menus that proved the hardware's massive appeal beyond the traditional demographic. But the true breakthrough came from software designed specifically for the touchscreen. Titles like Nintendogs and Brain Age attracted massive new demographics, specifically pulling in adult women and the elderly. This success drove Nintendo to release hardware upgrades, like the Nintendo DSi, which added built-in cameras and music playback to enhance the console's everyday utility. By combining inviting hardware with non-threatening software, Nintendo successfully manufactured a completely new, culturally ubiquitous behavior: casual gaming. The strategy paid off. This bar chart shows the final lifetime sales of the DS family compared to its competitors. Hitting 154.02 million units, it dwarfed the rest of the market, securing its place as the best-selling handheld console in history. This massive market presence effectively prepared the world for a technological shift far beyond video games. By putting an interactive screen and a stylus into the hands of 150 million non-gamers, the DS primed the global population to understand and embrace touch interfaces right before the smartphone arrived. While smartphones would eventually absorb the casual gaming demographic and erode Nintendo's market share, the iPhone's rapid adoption was built on a behavioral foundation that Nintendo had already laid down for the masses years earlier. The legacy of the Nintendo DS proves that true technological innovation is rarely about engineering the most powerful machine. Often, it's about engineering the most accessible.